Hello and welcome to the Car Podcast with Chris Harris and his friends. And we have one extra friend today. You might recognise him. Well, if you're not watching it, you won't recognise him because you can't see him. His name is John McGuinness, and he is one of the most winsome riders ever around the Isle of Man TT course. He's won 23 TTs, a fact that is celebrated on his brand new line of merchandise that we're going to plug every 5 minutes on this podcast because he loves the hustle, this man. So straight away, while you're listening to this, get on the internet, Google it. Even if you're driving, you're allowed to by law. He's a national treasure. Google it straight away. John McGuinness, new line of merch. It's got a sort of skull. It's got a sort of skull logo. It's a pleasure having you on. The last podcast I did with you was an interview, and it was incredibly popular. So if you don't match that popularity now, then we'll say your powers are waning.
Piece of piss, this job. What's up? I've just been riding in Ireland last week. That was harder. You're only talking nonsense on here.
Yeah. So you're straight back from the northwest. How did you get on?
Really well. Well, I had 5 races, 5 starts, 5 finishes, 5 in the top 10, and I was 6th in the main superbike race. And the reason why I was 6th in the main superbike race, a bit more prize money on that one, so I tried a little bit harder. But no, solid, Chris. You know what I mean? Solid. I mean, not getting any younger, but I just thoroughly enjoyed it. You know, it's the first time I've been over 200 mile an hour. I did 202.8 on the superbike. My teammate did 209.8. He went a little bit faster. He did the fastest lap of the week on his 5-blade, but he's a bit younger and a bit dafter than me, so I wasn't slipstreaming people. I always have a little bit. When I'm slipstreaming him, I always have an escape route because I've been around that long. I just make sure if any bikes break down in front of me, I've got a plan B, so I wasn't right up behind people for the ultimate slipstream. That's why hopefully I've been around a bit longer than other ones. But no, for me, all boxes ticked. Loved it, enjoyed it. You know, Honda were happy. I was happy. Everybody was smiling. Can't complain at all, mate.
There was a bit of fuss, John, in one of the races about somebody not stopping in a stop box and going wide chicanes. What was all that about?
Well, we've got the Northwest 200 used to be massive straights, but because the bikes have that much power now, they're like 240 horsepower. So what they were doing, they were tearing the centre of the tyre out, so they're just delaminating all the time. So they put these chicanes in to slow us down and cool the tyres down. So, but nobody enjoys them, nobody likes them. They spoil the flow of the track, but on the Saturday, the wind changed direction 180 degrees, so some of the chicanes going towards Port Rush, we were getting tailwinds, so everybody was getting pushed in. So on the first lap, Hickey and Michael Dunlop went straight onto the chicanes. And Hickey slowed down, put his foot down, and then accelerated away. That's what you're supposed to do in the rules. And Dunlop went straight through. So, sort of technically, he should have had a penalty, but I think if it had penalised in Ulster, there might have been a riot. So it might have slipped through the net, that one.
Do you think it was about as simple as that?
Do you know what? You can look at it loads of ways. The rules are the rules. You have these briefings, you sit there, you get dictated to by some bell end, and they're going on and on about everything and telling you what you should and shouldn't do, and you're supposed to put your foot down. That's the rules.
Yeah.
You know, if you go through a chicane, you're supposed to stop. Michael didn't. Would he have won the race anyway? Yes, he did a 4:17, which is incredible that time. He was the fastest rider on the track. Probably deserved to win it, but like anything, green paint in MotoGP, if you hit the green paint, you get penalised. You've got to drop a place or whatever, and that's what they're trying to do. But on the day, they seem to just make it up as they go along. But I want to sit on the fence on this one because, one, I don't want filling in, and two, I haven't had my start money yet, so I'll keep my gob shut.
It does help that you just called the race officials bell ends as well. That'll always go well.
Well, it's just frustrating, you know. I don't know. You bust your balls and you risk everything, and you know, if you do go through the chicanes, I mean, it's heat of the moment. It's one of them things.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't dangerous what Michael did, and do you know what? Michael just kept stum, and it was the organiser's decision, and he's not going to start saying anything if nothing's going to happen. So, but what I will say with Michael, he's a fair guy, and if the organisers said, look, you know, you've got a 10-second penalty, Michael would have took it on the chin. But there were some right shenanigans in the in the holding area. Hickey wouldn't go to the podium. There was loads going on, and I just stuck my head back in the Honda tent and just kept well away from all that nonsense. It was a bit diva strop going on and whatnot. But that new team that Hickey's in, they just put it together. They pulled it all together right at the 12th hour. And so did Michael, to be honest. Them 2025 BMWs are just only really just understanding how to start them, never mind run them. So, we don't get involved in that. I don't want to get involved in that. I mean, it's good crack on the internet, dummies flying around and all sorts of going on. But I don't know.
How do you deal with it when it's so obviously much higher stakes? You know, you don't talk blithely about it. You respect the dangers, and you make us all feel quite, frankly, humble when we hear the way you talk about this stuff, because the stakes are much higher. We talk about Formula One every week, and we think they take risks. But when you talk about tailwinds pushing you into a chicane, which ultimately is like a roundabout on a B road, the stakes are so much higher. When you talk about doing 202 miles an hour, which obviously has got something to do with how wide you are on the bike. It's nothing to do with slipstreams or anything like that. You're making excuses there. But it is amazing that you guys do this. I was watching some footage of 6 riders together at about 190 miles an hour on a heli shot, and it looked like you were stationary because you're so evenly matched.
Yeah, I mean those bikes now at the top, the 600s are really evenly matched. The super bikes are, and do you know what? There's like an unwritten rule between us all. Those top 8-10 riders that we do. There's a bit more camaraderie, there's a little bit more respect, there's a little bit more understanding of the risks. If it does go wrong, then at that speed, you've got nowhere to go. It is a B road, and we all just have that feeling around. It's like a force field type around your bike. You know, you get sucked along, and then then you catch them, and you go alongside them, and you can't get past, and then sometimes you're looking at each other, giving each other V's and all that. So you get a bit of time to have a bit of crack with the boys. But there's always that. It's terrifying. It is really. I mean, you're 2.5 miles straight, and you're flat out. I mean, the shift lights are on, so it's doing 15,800 RPM. So all them little bits of metal flying around the engine, you think, fuck, you know what I mean? If anything goes wrong, they're going to go bang. So that. All the trust in the mechanics, the wheelie in, the loads of buffet in. Those BMWs have them great big wings on the front, so when you go alongside with a BM, you start giving it all this. So, it's hard as well. It's really physical, especially when they're full of fuel. They've got 24 litres of fuel on, and like you say, tailwind, and you've got to stop from 200 mile an hour down to, I mean, you enter them chicanes at probably 30 mile an hour full up, so the forces on your body is really hard, and you've really not got to take your eye off the ball. Super concentration. You think on the straights you get a rest, but you don't. You don't get a rest at all. I mean that there. See, I don't know if you can see that.
I saw that on your Instagram.
See that? Yeah. I mean that's a stone. Yeah, and that was off Josh Brooks, and I could see it coming at like 30,000 mile an hour, and I can't get away from it. I've got no chance. So. And it hits on your arm, and you go, fuck! And you want to sort of pull up on the lay-by and give it a rub. But you still got all the handlebars, but you just can't. You're like, screaming in your helmet, and then it just goes away in the end. But yeah, I mean, they smash your screens. You have holes in the radiators. You got to have protection on the radiators. So there's lots of little different things, bigger screens just to try and keep you out of the wind. But very unique, the Northwest 200. Very different to the TT. It's a mass start race, and it's whoever crosses the line first, you know.
Oh,
so
really?
It's
okay.
And you're absolutely scratching your balls in, you know. Everybody says, oh, you know, you've got a little bit left. No chance. I mean, those chicanes, they have their escape route on them, so you can go through the chicane. So people are desperate on the brakes. So yeah, it's not easy.
So you're preparing for the big one. I mean, the Northwest is massive in Ulster, but obviously the TT is the big one in your world. With the greatest of respect, you're now the elder statesman of the grid. You're racing well beyond the years that most people in that trade do so. And I've got to know you reasonably well latterly, and I know that you do it because you love it, and I think we all respect that. But how do you deal with being so competitive? And you've always been so competitive, but you sort of know that unless something really odd happens, you're not going to win. And I find that fascinating because I love the fact you still want to turn up. How do you process that?
I just think I'm just still really super proud to be able to be part of the team. You know, it's the factory Honda team. It's so I won't say prestigious, but it's the number one Honda. It has the number one plate on it. I still love putting the Honda shirt on. When the DPD van comes up my drive, I know it's my Alpine Star suit. I know it's my new gear for racing. I know when my new painted helmets come. I'm like a dog with two dicks. You know what I mean? I'm like fighting, flipping. Me and my son are smashing Alpine Star boxes up and looking for T-shirts and stuff, and that's never gone away since I was a kid. So, and the really nice thing about it is that there's really no pressure from Honda. I mean, normally there's a lot of pressure on Dean, my teammate, but for me, they've said to me, just go and ride your bike, John. Go enjoy yourself. Wherever you finish, you finish. And if you don't feel like you want to do it, even if you want to stop halfway around the race, they said stop. But make sure you stop at a pub and we'll come and have a pint with you. You know, it's just a really nice, strange thing, isn't it? You know, like for Honda, there's normally a lot of pressure. But for me, you know, I can... And, you know, a lot of riders would hate that, wouldn't they? They wouldn't like that. They want to win. But like I've been in races where them top guys have passed me, and I've actually, weirdly, I don't know how to explain it, but I've enjoyed them passing me because I've sort of watched them through my eyes because I've done that before. I've been in that position where I've had a big lead. I'm just working my way to the flag, and you can just see how relaxed and how good they're riding. And I've been part of that. You know, I was in the race for the first 136 mile an hour where the lap record was, and so I've been in all them races. And when the sun's shining and you're riding round, and I think it's the best thing in the world. And you know, basically, if somebody comes along who's faster than me at the minute, they can have me ride, but they can fuck off. They're not fast enough.
Amazing.
I think it's fair to say that maybe you wouldn't be able to have this relaxed attitude as the elder statesman of your paddock if you hadn't won so much, because you've won it all. If you hadn't won, you'd have the frustration, wouldn't you? Still,
yeah. I mean, honestly, when I was at my best, from 2004 to 2015, I was unbeaten on a superbike. I either won it or I broke down. And I don't want to sound a smart ass, but in those times, I used to put so much pressure on myself. I wanted to win so bad. I never was one of them walking around arrogant or anything like that. I was just quietly confident in myself, and I made sure that every box was like ticked, and all the people around me were on the same page, because you can have 100 million quid and work with a load of dicks and you never win anything, you know what I mean? But I had the right people around me, and those times I'll never forget them. You know, I did the first ever 129 mile an hour lap, 130, 31, 32. So, you know, them times were epic. But now I just still enjoy putting the levers on. But at one time, if I got beat, I'd be sulking. But in myself, I wouldn't ever say it. But, you know, when I was at the top of my game, I wanted to win bad, if that makes sense.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah. But it's not just, you know, everything about your preparation, you know, the mechanics, they're not mechanics, they're your friends. They have to be your friends. You know, they have, like, a lot of teams are just workers, and they bolt your wheelie, or they tighten your bolt up or whatever. But my mechanics were my friends generally, and they were an extension of my brain, you know. So Leighton Haig, I still talk to him now, Julian Boland, total eccentric, complete weirdo, but I just completely trusted everything in him at the time, and we were pretty dominant for a lot of years. And I always wanted to win the big bike races. You know, it's like F1, innit? Might be a shit race, but it's always the one everybody wants to win.
Yeah,
it's always the one everybody watches. Innit? Nobody watches the F2 race. When I went to Bahrain, we were around the pool, you know, swimming around when the F2 race was on, which is bad, innit? Because it's normally a good race. Everybody wants to watch the F1 race. So all the kudos is on the big superbikes, and they're the ones I wanted to win. The big 6 lap ones, the ones that meant the most, and the ones that were the hardest and the longest races. So, you know, but I'd love to win another one. It's probably not going to happen again, but I've got to deal with the team. If I get on the podium, I've got to do a nude streak, so down the prom, which I will do it. I mean, I was at the back of the queue when God was handing cocks out, to be fair, but I mean, at the end of the day,
Good to know.
Get what you get. So, yeah, but I'll have to just give it a little twang, won't I, before I get it.
Yeah, what you need to do is the equivalent of a tyre warmer, mate. So we're going to come back to you in a minute. He's going to stay with us for a bit, is John. So we're going to move on to some nerdy stuff.
Man.
So the first thing I'm going to ask my fellow colleagues, I'm really struggling with my internet connection because I'm in France, unfortunately, in a budget hotel. You can have a look around here. Look at that. I've got my telly on the wall and my little sort of cassette toilet in the corner there. But my internet is terrible, so everyone's having to manage me slightly here. Now, Neil Clifford writes his list of ideas to me and to the wider group. He thinks deeply about the subject of being a car geek. And this one has been at the top of his list for the last 4 weeks. And I know he's been wanting me to ask the question. And that is, why is the blue main beam light on your dashboard the best light? Over to you, Neil Clifford.
It's a light that I love more than any other dash light ever. It was so intriguing to me as a child when because it was a rare event, wasn't it? That your mum put the blue light on. And I adore that colour. And it's always the same colour, really. That beautiful sapphire, cobalt blue. It shows you're up to something. It's night time. There's no one around. That sense of freedom, that sense of power you got. I want a suit that colour. I want glasses that colour. I want. It's my favourite colour, and it's so unique, isn't it? And when you jump from car to car, indicators are often different, or the light, the dash colour of the light is different. But for me, that blue is always like a consistent, and I just adore it. It's a lot of good memories for me because it shows you're up to something. You're driving at night. You're normally on your own. A sense of wonder, freedom, movement, travel. Yeah, it's a funny thing, and it's a memory as a child that I would never forget. Actually, I know it's a bit weird. It's a bit weird for me, I think, this blue light, but I adore it. I hope someone agrees with me.
I agree with you. I'll tell you why. Because apart from everything you said is right, to me, it's the light that says, "Let's go." Get on with it. It's just the road is clear, and everything dials up. And in the days when you could probably take more liberties than you can today because there was less traffic and blah blah blah, probably even though we drove faster, I have this sort of sense in my head that we were a bit more sensible. We could drive faster, but we were sensible. So that when the road comes, that little blue light goes on, you think, "Let's go. I'm away." And just that sense of...
Yeah, you flick that stalk forward.
Yeah. It's like I've just engaged another 100 horsepower or 50 horsepower.
Yes.
And it's that sense of liberation, freedom. I can make progress. I think that little tingly sense of it almost always coincides with, I'm just going to squeeze the throttle a bit more. I might just knock it back a gear just to sort of enjoy that. I can give it something. Yeah, I think it's the doorway. It's literally the green light to enjoy yourself.
Yeah, what a colour!
I dropped out there for a second. I do apologise. Manish, have you been yet? Have you spoken about the blue light yet?
No. I think they're describing a kind of spiritual experience. It's like the Millennium Falcon going into light speed, isn't it? That's what that stalk is. It's like that. I had another thought though, which is when you look at all the dashes we've looked at all our lives, people have. I think Neil's alluded to this. Some dashes are predominantly green. Some will have some amber. Some will have orange. I remember the first sort of like almost head-up display of a BMW with its kind of gorgeous orange band surrounding you and the little trip computer. But one thing Neil's absolutely spot on about: it doesn't really matter what color the primary dash is. On every one of those cars, that light is blue. None of them try an amber. None of them try a green. Or a red. It's always blue. And I've always wondered why they go for the ice cold blue. Because the Stork also used to film me, especially when I used to drive in the countryside. It always used to fill me with a little bit of dread, actually, because what you never wanted to do was flash anyone under any circumstance. You don't want someone to come up over a hill and you flash them, or you go around a corner and you can just imagine some grandma doing 30 miles an hour and you're trying to do 60 on a country road and you flash her and something terrible happens. So I had both the Millennium Falcon, but also the doctorly urge not to flash anyone.
I don't think most people are as considerate as you manage. John McGuinness, I like the fact we've now introduced you. We've thrown you into our sad world of the way we look at the minutiae of driving cars. Have you ever thought about the blue light on a dashboard?
I nearly nodded off, lads. I was joking. The only blue light I see is normally a policeman chasing me in the reflection in the mirror, isn't it? I tell you what's ruined the high beam thing is that automatic lights. It's absolute nonsense, isn't it? You want to rule that stick. You want to like my missus has that on automatic, and like Manish says, there's a car coming. You think switch off, and then it stays on that split second too long and blinds you, and it pisses me off. So yeah, you want to control the old light. So
yeah,
but yeah, normally the shit I used to drive around in, I normally had a bulb out, so and only had half a light on anyway.
Half the effect.
McGuinness, he raises a valid point. I also love the blue light on the dashboard. It was something that when you was a kid, you sat in the car, you weren't allowed to do that. When you were allowed to do it yourself, it was a bit of a rite of passage. I get to do that myself now.
Yes.
But in fairness, it should be something human beings do. Even the best LED Audi one, there's one which sort of, you can see the lasers cutting off as you drive. It's like snake oil. It's so clever. But it's still not foolproof. Someone's still getting blinded.
Your mother or your father would actually let you do it, wouldn't you? Unless you're in a Citroen or some French shit where on the other side, you couldn't reach round, could you? So
no,
like if you don't, you could sort of just, can I do it, Dad? And you sort of have control of it.
Yeah. My mum used to let me do it. Actually, that's true. If you're good parents, they let you do the full beam.
Yeah.
I've next point here is rental cars, right? So I've got a thing. I think all of us can agree, for probably similar reasons, that the rental car has always been a bastion of fun. On every level, the rental car has always been a great thing. It's not yours. It has the disposable element that you can't possibly admit on a podcast. You can treat it poorly. You can wonder at the life it's led before it got put into your sorry hands and all this stuff. But the problem with the modern hire car for me is this. There's so many bloody widgets on them and there's so many systems on them that by the time you've given it back, you've only just worked out how to work the bloody thing. And actually, you can't work out how to disconnect stuff. I tried to take the ABS pump off a car the other day, or remove the sensors, just so I could actually skid the thing around a bit, and the whole thing just shut down. It wouldn't start again. So there's no way you can turn anything off. So what used to be the fun screechy tyre moment in your hire car, I'm not sure it exists anymore. McGuinness, how do you feel about hire cars?
Well, they don't have one of them, do they, anymore? They don't have that lever in the middle of the console with that handbrake thing. Or any ones that do still have that, they must slacken the cable off a little bit so you can't skid them. They just come right up nearly out your hands, don't they?
Yeah.
So, as soon as you've lost the handbrake, it's ruined, isn't it? But it was just a race to the track. Every time we went testing in Spain, Italy, whatever we went, it was just whatever we could get in and how fast it would go. And that's it. It was just flat out all the way. I mean, you could get away with it, couldn't you, bumping and scraping? But now they don't like it, do they? They get a little bit more
emotional. Sense of humour's gone.
Yeah, it has. I mean, I remember we hired a car. One of our only very early holidays as a family, my dad. So my dad's hired we're in Morocco. Can't remember what it was. What would it be in Morocco in them days? I was about 10, so...
Sayat?
I can't remember. All I can remember is my dad underneath it, because it was done on mileage. So we got charged per mile. So my dad immediately is underneath, and he's got the
Under the
cable.
cable.
Yeah, so he's got the cable off it immediately, and we went to. We went from Agadir to Marrakesh, which
On
is like
2 miles.
300 miles or something. So all the way to Marrakesh, and snake charming, all that nonsense, riding a camel, blah blah blah. Back to Agadir. And when we took the car back, it had done about 8 miles on the clock, and it probably done about 500. So it's just typical flipping my dad, absolute bandit car dealer. But it was funny. Yeah.
We're going to come back to he's called John. He's known as John Senior, or Senior for short, and he is the richest seam of amusing stories of any human being I've ever heard. So we'll come back to a bit of John Senior in a minute. Neil Clifford, where are you on hire cars? I know that you've had a good experience recently in Sicily.
I like them. I like hire cars. I don't see the negative yet on the hire car thing. I travel a lot with my job, and I always try to get a hire car. And particularly America, I think they've really got it beautifully set up, because as long as you don't use the cheapest, I don't know what that is, but as long as you use Avis or Sixth or Hertz, the service is normally pretty good. You can pre-book online. You get there, there's someone super helpful, and then they offer you the upgrade. Because it's America, so everything is about sales and everything is about commission. And it's always quite exciting because you've booked, I don't know, a BMWs. I always try and get a convertible if I can. And then they're like, oh, so we've got a M4, or we've got a sportier thing, or we've got a Mustang. Would you like the Mustang? And then you say, well, is it a V8? And they say, no, it isn't a V8. And then you're disappointed. But the little upgrade thing I like. Clearly, I sort of drive a hire car almost more confidently. I always have a lot of fun in a hire car, and it's joyful being on your own, zooming along, roof off. The only problem I think that Chris references a little bit is you're now obsessed with bloody CarPlay, aren't you? So even though the car has got amazing BMW sat-nav and you've got your bloody phone, you take 20 minutes, 30 minutes to try to set up your CarPlay. And that's always a bit annoying, because you go into the phone setup and there's always Marco's phone and Hugo's phone and Xavier's phone. There's about 50 other blokes that are connected already, aren't they? And Hertz haven't been through and deleted all these random blokes, and then you haven't got any space. You've got to start deleting all the people before you can connect your own phone. But it is quite a enlightening, exciting time when it all connects and you get your ways, and then you're all comfortable. You got your Spotify, you can listen to your silly podcasts or your music, get the roof off. I adore a hire car. Any opportunity to get a hire car, I do get a great deal of pleasure out of it.
Manish, hire cars.
So they provoke quite a lot of anxiety in me, if I'm terribly honest. The first one is when you arrive at an airport late. Okay, so late that you're kind of picking it up, or if there's just one crotchety person left, and they're not interested in selling you anything. You don't want an upgrade. They just want you to get the car and go. But I remember doing that with you, Chris. Do you remember we got to Bologna very late one night? And I remember you were so crabby with the poor guy. He was, my God, Mr. Harris, when he's like, just give me the car. Just give me the car. And they were trying to sell us various insurances and things like, just give me the basic car. Just give me the basic car. Then you whacked over your debit card. He looked at it because it was multicolored and from a very posh bank. And you said, it will work. And he was just looking at it, and you got crosser and crosser. Eventually, I remember we got into the car. And I said, are you always like that? And you said, I do this for a living. That was, oh my God. The other bit,
I don't come out of that especially well, but I can add the little postscript. But I don't think I've actually been paid back for that hire car yet. But I'll get to at some point, Manish.
Please invoice us, okay? Yeah. Your performance was magnificent in the movie. Okay, I would love to pay you back for that car.
I'll tell you what. One thing that highlights there is that I don't have a credit card because I'm not allowed one because I'm not an adult, and debit cards. They don't like debit cards. These people at all.
No.
Yeah, absolutely. If you, I mean, McGuinness is a cash man, obviously. That's another. He turns up with a suitcase full of oncers, and they just laugh at him, don't they?
It's also returning a hire car is incredibly impersonal. I remember there was a time when someone was there and they took the key and they gave it a quick inspection, and you kind of got on your plane thinking, okay, I rented a car, I've used the car, it's been checked over, I'm going to go home. Now it's a bit like waiting for a speeding ticket. You kind of put it in its slot, and you're going, what are they going to find?
Yes.
They're going to find something, and they're going to pin it on me. And maybe it was Xavier or David or Jethro, whoever, who've done it to the car. It wasn't properly inspected, and Mr. Panday is going to get the bill. But I find it all a little bit anxiety-provoking, if I'm honest.
I think I look back at some of the hire car. I wonder if I've ever bored people with the hire car story on Corsica. We were filming something on Corsica once. I think it was Corsica. And we had one of those Fiat, like a Doblo thing with the sliding door down the side.
Yeah.
And this was very good. This is pre-video. See, the guy doing still photography could hang out the door, and he had they'd started wearing harnesses. They usually just hang out the door. Sometimes they'd fall out. They were sort of disposable at the time, really. Immensely talented, obviously. But this person was on the door of this Doblo. We're going on some mountain road, and I remember just hearing this noise and then this sound and thinking, that's a bit odd. I looked around. I think I'd been driving it. Was I driving it? Maybe. And this guy had harnessed himself to the door, and the door just comes straight back. Obviously, I had just two grommets stopping the door going all the way back. My whole door just came off the side of the Doblo and just went along the road. So we had a bit of a problem. The photographer, I think, was okay. But we had to give the car back. And you know when you do that thing where you're trying to sort of return the car so you cover up any damage you've done? Half the side of the car was fucking missing. So we had to I remember finding a wall. We parked it up against a wall and left it. Never got a bill. Got a bill.
Have you never had any fine? You must have had. Every time I have a hire car, I have a fine. When I get home, there's a speeding fine comes through.
Yeah.
I've got them in Australia. I went racing in Australia about 5 years in a row to this Island Classic thing. And they did me for 82 kilometres in an 80.
Oh.
Which is like, for me, they can suck dick. There's absolutely no chance. I was like, if you're doing like 90, 100, I'd pay because I think that were all right. But 82, they can forget it. So I've sweated it out with loads of them from all over the world. And eventually they go away. If you've got the ball, just leave it to the end and they will go away. Yeah. Every time I went into Australia, I passed my passport over and I'm like trembling a bit, thinking I'm going to get dragged into a corner, I'm going to get white gloved and
2 kilometres an hour.
Yeah, 2 kilometres. I thought I'm going to get raked into one of these rooms and like I got away with it for like 5 years, just straight through. I was like, "Ooh, that's all right." It's a long way back home, innit? But yeah, I just got a parking fine in Italy. I went to Rossi's Ranch, so I've got an €85 parking fine in Rimini at the minute, floating over my head. So I've had 2 deliveries. I've had a Italian police something you got to sign for. What do you call it? Postman. You got to sign for it. So, yeah, registered one. So I never like getting them because once you've signed, you're screwed, aren't you? But I was going to sweat it out for another few months. We'll see what happens.
What about John? Can you talk about? I was talking to your lovely wife Rebecca, and she said that when you landed back from the Bahrain Grand Prix, you had an interesting situation with your car where you parked it.
Well, getting back from the Bahrain Grand Prix was a disaster for a start with because I missed my flight.
Oh, this is freaking genius. So I'll let me set the scene. I'm sitting having dinner with John McGuinness and family and my better half, and it's the night after the race, and we're all having a nice sort of Middle Eastern meal, lovely meal, and me and my other half are going home that night. But you fly at like midnight. So we're like, oh, we don't want to leave. And the McGuinness family are just talking about where their sun lounge is going to be the next day and how they're going to be relaxing. And we're really jealous. John, you can continue from there.
Well, yeah. Well, we're just planning our day. The day after, we're going to go sightseeing. And at like 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, they're banging to try and get us out of the room to check out. We're here for another day. But unbeknown to us, we were supposed to be on the flight that Chris was on. So we was a full 24 hours late. And there's 4 of us. Well, 3 adults and a 15-year-old all looking at the diary thinking we were going home Tuesday, and it's actually Wednesday morning, 2 a.m. Anyway, cut a long story short, I get to the desk, and this lady's looking at me like I've got two heads. She looks across. You were on the last night flight, so I'm like, looks at the missus. She's furious immediately, and I shoot across to the Gulf desk. This guy looks at me. He's like, "I'm arrogant prick." He's like, just looked at me like, "No, there's 2 seats left. Do you want them?" So I had to look for the next flight, which is 9 o'clock in the morning, BA direct back to Heathrow. So 2,800 quid later, 2,800 quid it cost me. I'm stood there, one bag in one hand, wife with her bag, 2 kids. I'm thinking, I ain't going to thumb a lift home from Bahrain. I didn't have the balls to ring up the Crown Prince and tell him I've made a right balls up. So I spent the night on Bahrain's floor.
You slept to the airport?
Just about gets to sleep, honestly. About 3:30, Call to Prayer comes on. So that woke us all up again. Not great. So anyway, we're on plane at 9 o'clock. So when we got back to Heathrow, I won't pay for parking as well at airports. It's just a deal. If it was a tenner a day, I'd pay, no problem. But they just take the piss. So I followed somebody out of the barrier anyway out of Heathrow. I've done it at every single airport in the world. Just when the barrier goes up, when the car goes through, just follow them straight out. Yeah. Every airport in England, every single one for 25 years. Brilliant. It's great. It feels amazing. And even if I got done for it once at Manchester, copper come to my door, just said pay that. They were like 70 quid. I went, all right, no problem. So what's the world? You've got to pay, haven't you? You're not going to take the kids off you. You just got to pay the
John, have you ever left a hire car on a frozen lake and then come back the following day and wonder where it had gone?
I've definitely not done that at all. No.
Hire cars have caused jittery in our family. Remember David Gower?
Yeah.
England cricket captain a few years ago now. This is why the fun's gone out of hire cars.
Yeah.
So he thought it was perfectly acceptable. I think it was I need Lynn here because she was running budget when David Gower did that. And she had to explain to the people in America why there were -1 hire car and why they shouldn't throw the book at David Gower. We thought it was really amusing that, well, I was there last night and the lake had unfrozen and the thing, it sunk at the bottom of some lake in Switzerland. When we were learning the ring, the Nürburgring, which is kindergarten stuff compared to Northwest 200, but for us car types, it's quite grown up. We used to fly to Cologne, and we'd hire a car from Cologne. We'd hire 2 cars. Then we'd race from Cologne Airport to the ring, 45, 50 minutes. And we'd learn the track on a tourist farten day. We'd go to the little tank store place, buy the sticker, the Nürburgring sticker you can get, stick it on the back of the hire car, and then take it back with no tyres, no clutch, gasping, wheezing, pebble dash to shit at the front, thinking that was a job well done. They don't like that now.
No.
They don't like that now. So I think the fun has gone out of hire cars, not least because the handbrake's gone.
There was that company called Rent-A-Wreck they were brilliant. So you could buy the 2 best places still to get a hire car. You can still get these crap ones in Sweden and Finland where you deliberately buy a crap car and they don't care. It's almost a badge of honour with how many dents you can bring it back with. And also Bologna Airport, because it's Italian, they just have different rules. We once had a Fiat Panda a few years ago there. And the left rear tyre was at a totally different angle. I mean, it was towing in, and I looked underneath it, and you could see where the lower suspension arm had been. The beam had been hit and bent. So I get the guy from Avis out and said, "Look, this is obviously a bit broken." And he just shrugged his shoulders and went, "Well, it's either that or you don't have a car." And he was, in fairness, he was absolutely right. We needed a car far more. I should have just shut my mouth and got on with it. Really.
We went to Rome again, family holiday for New Year. Got off the plane in Rome, and it was might have been a Panda, some whatever. And you have a walk around the car, don't you, with clipboard? And he's like, oh, it's got a dint there, and it's got a dint there. And I'm going, no, it's fucked. The whole thing, the whole side caved in. And he's like, so. In the end, he just went out of his pen. He went all the way around the car. He said, guys. Whatever he said, and I got up in the morning one day and it was in a different place because he just shoved them along, don't they, and push them. They just make a new parking space. You know, it was brilliant. It was fantastic. Yeah, it was like wacky races. Nobody cared.
Is it my imagination when we used to go to Spain on holiday and there'd be a whole row of Fiat Pandas, hire cars, and you get to where you're going and all the Fiat Pandas would be there, that one key sort of opened or started all of them?
Yeah.
I can remember one holiday having at least 3 different versions of the same white Fiat Panda or Seat, whatever it would have been.
You were obviously doing Spain middle class. I just got off the airport and went on a bus.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually, you're right. Don't laugh, you will. I was actually early 90s. I was. Yeah. You're right. You take the piss, Neil. I was actually on a tennis coaching holiday.
Oh. But you remember the old Dan Air, and you'd be on Thompson holidays, and you just there'd be the lovely pretty lady with the clipboard at the airport, and you'd all queue up behind her. Then you'd all go and get on the coach, didn't you? And then you drive around, I don't know, Alicante or Benidorm or Lloret de Mar, and you were like, "Oh, this one looks nice. I wonder if this is our hotel." No, it's not. Yeah, you wait to the end to get out of the 2-star one with your mum. You know what I mean? You see all the posh ones before.
Oh, well, Dan, flight in New Delhi.
Torremolinos I went to. My first ever family holiday, Torremolinos.
Yeah.
And it was on was it Dan Air London? You were on about Dan Air.
Dan Air London, yeah.
Yeah.
They went down, didn't they? They smashed a few of them up.
Davis and Newman, yeah.
727 out of Gatwick.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I'll tell you the interesting thing I've got on that, or what I'm intrigued of, is what's that new thing? Is it Turo? Where you rent someone's personal car on the app, so you can put your own car.
Yeah,
I think that's an interesting little concept.
Is it like Airbnb for cars?
Yeah. You just land in LA and you go on. I haven't done it, but I'm going to do it. You land in LA and you look on Turo and you see, there's a geezer with a GT3 997, and it's 500 quid a day or whatever. And you can test a few different. You can try someone's car. You just go to their house, pick up the car, and bugger off.
What could possibly go wrong?
We had a Ford Bronco a few years ago doing that. It's actually worked. It worked well for us, but can you imagine the level of abuse that's open to? I mean, can you imagine McGuinness borrowing your GT3 for 2 days?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're actually threw the wife in as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Just chuck the car and the wife in. Got to ride her as well. That'd be a real good do.
Finley, just put a note there. That is being edited out. Unbelievable behaviour. Now, Finn, so you're leaving that in, by the way. So, Finley.
Can I just have one more story about an iCar while it's in my head? This is quite funny. I raced in Daytona a few years ago. We were doing rolling burnouts up the main street to eventually the forward gear was broken. End of story. So I reversed it back to the track, 5 miles. Reversed it all the way back to Daytona Circuit. And I remember coming up to the gate, reversed up to the gate, and there's like an ex-policeman, a big fat yank, and he's there. He's like ex-copper or something. "Hey man, where's your credentials?" or something. He says. I'm like, I'm just in reverse. He's like, I was pissed and all that. And we'd already smashed the windscreen. It looked like a body had been on the window. And he wouldn't let us in. So I just left it. I just threw him the keys. I said, "All right, then I'll see you later," and walked in. But that didn't go down good in the end. My God, that was a little stretch in a little establishment overnight. Yeah, not good.
I just don't think they have these stories in Formula One at the moment, do they? No, they don't. Right, Finley is now. We're about to do something quite adventurous here. We're going to. Finley is going to come on. He's going to play us some intake noises because we're about to do some work with K&N, who do wonderful intakes. Everyone knows what a K&N filter looked like. You all wanted one as a kid. It was metal. It was beautiful. It had mesh on it. They sound fantastic. And to celebrate the beginning of a short partnership with K&N, which we're really looking forward to, we want to play some intake noises. You got to guess what the intake noise of this car is. Okay? So, Finn, how many have we got?
We've got 5.
We've got 5. Okay, so I don't think we can do a free-for-all. I think we'll listen to the noise, and a bit like sort of Steve Wright, I'm going to marshal these responses, okay? And I'm going to ask you individually, and each person will get a chance to go first, all right? So, I think, Finley, start with the first intake noise now. I'm going straight to Chris Cooper, who I think will get this one straight away.
It sounds like a GT3 911.
Okay, Manish, any further thoughts?
I'm just going to go with my learned colleague. That just sounds exactly right.
Okay, McGuinness.
Yeah, 6-cylinder anyway. Let's say a 6-cylinder vehicle.
What about you, Neil?
M3 CSL.
No.
Oh, that's just could be. But I'm going GT3. Finn?
Yeah.
911 ST actually, but yeah, same engine.
Is it? Okay, well there you go. Not far. It's still a GT3 engine.
With
So
a K&N air filter on it.
no, you can't. You probably do. You can get one, but that one's not got a K&N air filter.
Oh,
on
okay.
it.
That's
These
what
don't necessarily have K&N air filters on it.
Neil with
So
Neil with
we're celebrating the forum of intake noise.
Oh, I see.
So let's go for the next one, Finn. That's really difficult. I'm going to let Neil go first.
Oh, God. Nissan GTR.
That's
It's
not.
not.
It's definitely McGuinness.
I was going to say RS4 or something, but
Sounds like 6 to me. Manish.
It did something like that, didn't it? Oh,
No, but that was
is
a
it
good
a
noise. Though.
turbo? RS6.
So the 8-cylinder. Cooper.
When it started, I thought it was an S14 four-banger BMW, but it's not, is it?
No.
It's not 4.
I think it's a BMW. I think that's a BMW inline 6. But hold on, no. A 296. Is it a 296?
It was the Ferrari Purosangue actually.
Oh, Jesus.
No,
So we were all miles off.
that was a V12. Well, at least I got 8 out of 12 cylinders.
That's not a proper V12 in that.
Right,
Pure Tango.
let's do the next one, Finn.
what was that called?
Pure
That's
sandwich.
the Ferrari
Puro
Purosangue.
Sangue.
You know, the Ferrari sort of SUV thing.
Oh yeah,
There's lots of them up in Morecambe.
yeah, none. Yeah, Fury might have one. Tyson Fury might have one. That's about it.
Finn, next one. Okay, John McGuinness, you go first.
GT40
Okay.
Ooh.
manual, wasn't it?
Clifford.
Ford Escort BDA 1800.
Deary me. Yeah. Chris Cooper.
It's four-cylinder, isn't it?
I thought so.
If I guess S14 BMW, at some point I'll be right.
Okay. Manish.
That sounded like a really gorgeous. Was that? It's so manual. It just. Is it a little Alpha? Is it an Alpha?
Could be.
I'm amazed at how different I hear that. That's 12 cylinders all day long to me. That's a McLaren F1.
Is it?
Yeah, McLaren F1.
Oh,
Oh no! Sounded like
You know the
He's
answer,
going to
don't
be
you?
good at this.
Sounded like an awful.
I would never,
Can you play
I would
that
never
again?
ever
Can you-
cheat.
Play that again.
Knowingly.
Play that again. Play that
Okay.
again.
Right. Next one, Finn.
Oh yeah, sorry, this one's a bit harder.
It's a bit harder.
Oh, fuck.
Okay, I'm going to go first
Is that a
this time.
488?
I reckon that's a BMW, a current M3 or an M2. Is it an M3? Current M3. John McGuinness.
R8.
R8.
No.
Chris Cooper.
Well, this is worse than doing cheese or service stations, isn't it? I reckon it's a 6-cylinder BMW.
Yeah.
You've been BMW all the way. You might
Yeah,
get one
I know,
right
I'm
at some
hoping it's
point.
going to come right. That's my plan.
It sounded like a paddle shift. And I thought that was a 458 with a paddle
it was a paddle shift.
458 with a paddle shift.
Okay, Neil Clifford.
296.
Oh, that could be it.
I'm afraid it's an Aston Martin GT12.
What?
Oh.
What?
Right, okay. Because we've been so shit, I'm cutting it short there. We've done 4. We're not doing a 5th. It's too embarrassing. I'd like to apologise on behalf of the car community just how bad we were there. And we'll do that to make us responsible. But anyhow, K&N responsible for intake noise throughout the ages, and we've got some videos coming up where we're going to use a vehicle that has had its intake system, its lungs, converted to K&N spec. And when you see this vehicle, you're going to laugh because it's great fun. So more to come, but we look forward to enjoying that collaboration.
Can I just say on K&N's behalf, you're right. When we were growing up and we had chipbox cars, K&N was just the aftermarket brand that everybody aspired to. That beautiful old-fashioned sort of like longhand writing with the ampersand in it, and those beautiful chrome bits on top of the foam mesh air filter. So my mini at university, we couldn't afford that, so we took that. Remember that old like sort of big like pipe thing that the air filter went in with, that big long tube. We took all that off. And we got a lid from a Marville tin because we couldn't afford milk. So we took a Marville tin, artificial milk. You put a screw through the top of the lid, and you screwed the paper air filter onto top of the SU carburetor. We pretended they were cut price K&Ns, but the induction noise was brilliant. All about induction noise.
Made it run absolutely shy. Yeah, made it worse than ever. Yeah, look good, sounded good.
That's the main thing. You've got me sussed, yeah.
Can you speak to John and get us to run our partnerships campaign, please? Because he's well versed in looking after partners.
Yeah.
What does it actually stand for? What does K&N stand for?
Their names. It was there. It's like Kevin.
Yeah,
it's 2 blokes, isn't it?
Yeah, I think probably, but I don't know what it is though. Kevin and Neil.
Can you Google it for me? Can you Google it for me and come back? And also, it's one of the few stickers that you wanted on your car because they just look cool. K&N sticker look cool.
I had one on my AP50, my little AP50 Suzuki crankcase induction. So the air filter used to sit on top of the cases. I had a K&N on mine.
Yeah.
Mint.
Yeah.
Just blew up every 5 minutes, but look good.
Yeah.
Right, so we're going to move on now. This is our final topic, which is this Renault F1 story, right? With this Oli guy that was running the team. I don't. My question to my learning colleagues, and this is where Manish and Chris really take over because they follow this stuff more closely than me. This is straight out of some kind of box set fiction story, isn't it? It's amazing. Why is it not in the press more? Because it's so much more exciting than any other sport. No one seems to be covering it. But put simply, blokes left Renault F1 because his brother got caught with some money that might have been Russian, and now he's disappeared to Dubai and done a runner. This is, if the manager of Man United did that, it'd be front page news, but it's not. Manish, why?
I think it's been going on in Formula One since day naught. They've just seen it, done it, been there. And I think, I still remember Bernie telling that great story the first time he'd collectively bargained for the team. So he goes to the Spanish Grand Prix. He's agreed a cost with the promoter. Promoter's not around. Eventually he goes into his room. Windows open at the back, and guy's done a runner with all their money. They got no starting money, no prize money at all. I just think this is just Formula One going back to its roots, isn't it? It's just Oli Oakes, obviously, Chris falls off bikes. Cooper was spot on last week. He said this is not a little story about whether you agree with whether Colapinto ends up at Alpine or not. There's something much more profound going on. But I think it takes something to out-Flav. You'd have thought the most controversial thing about Alpine would be something that Flavio would do. Right? But actually, this very respectable, kind of super bright, youngest ever team principal manages to out-Flav. There's an element of genius in that. I mean, is he really in Dubai? Do we know that he's definitely in Dubai?
He is.
He is.
What, is he posting selfies of himself underneath the Burj having a drink or what?
No, he's not doing anything other than trying to lie low.
Well, you can do that there.
Dubai is like the Mos Eisley of the world right now. If you go there, it's it really is, as well as being kind of, the place where everyone's getting very, very rich on crypto. I mean, all kinds of people have moved there, and it's a very, very Russian city right now. It's an extraordinary place, absolutely extraordinary.
No tax.
No tax.
Chris, what's your take on this?
So last week we talked about this. I genuinely didn't know what it was. I had a number of sort of thoughts of what it could be. One of which was, is there something which is caught up with them about dealing with people who are subject to global financial sanctions? We don't know that. So all we know is that Oli Oakes' younger brother was arrested at Silverstone carrying a very large amount of cash related to criminal proceeds or criminal assets, is all that's been said. There's no suggestion, we must say, so we don't get sued for the zero assets that we have. There's no suggestion of any wrongdoing on Oli Oakes' part.
Exactly.
But I'd spoken to a couple of people there this week, and they both said to me, "You couldn't make this up. It's like a movie." It's really, really, really weird. So Oli, he knew it turns out, over the Miami weekend, he was clearly in a state of some distress. Nobody, it seemed, in the team knew at all, maybe not even Flav. He could have been taken completely by surprise by this. So at the end of the race weekend, he basically said, "Well, I'm gonna have to resign." I don't think he was pushed. I think he decided to do that. I think that's why the Alpine announcement was, it's a personal matter. That's all we're going to say. And when Flav was questioned, it's about Colapinto, which I never believed. I thought it must be more than that. You don't give up one of the 10 best jobs. If you're not a driver, he had one of the 10 best jobs in motorsport in the world. You don't give that up over a point of principle. Like, I actually fancied my driver more than your driver. No, it had to be more than that. So my understanding now, he is in Dubai, probably lying low, wondering what to do next. Alpine will carry on. They've made their driver change. We wish Jack Doohan all the best. His dad was a megastar. Jack's a good lad, worked really, really hard. Colapinto's a good driver. We wish them all the best at Team Enstone. Another page in their comical saga. High Tech, the team that Oli Oakes' family majority owns, I've heard nothing other than they're going to carry on, but one worries that it'll all be okay. They're a very good team. They run leading drivers in F2 and F3 and the British F4 Championship and GB3 as well. So you couldn't make it up. It's like a movie.
I have to say, I agree with both of you. I managed, especially with this idea that it's always been around motorsport, hasn't it? I mean, John, if you think about most of the stories you know about this sort of stuff, it's just not repeatable, are they? Everyone that's worked in motorsport has got the stories where you just don't go there. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, it's way above my pay grade, all that Formula One stuff, and I haven't really got a clue what you're on about. I didn't even know what's going on. I've been flat out busy riding my bikes in Ireland for a week, but I don't know. It's tough game, innit? The bike job is different to the car job. There's a lot of guys out there do it not for a business; it's for a passion. Just the love for the sport. A lot of the riders not making any money. A lot of people are maxed out on credit cards, and it's a lot of people just trying to tread water and do what they love doing. So there's only one or two guys making a few quid out of it, but it's a hard, tough game. But there's been an few bandits in the game who've done a few, a bit of porridge over the years, over a few things. But I can safely say that I've always been not involved in any of that, if that makes sense. I've been quite a loyal person, and there's not a lot of loyalty in racing anymore. There's a lot of people just tread on everybody and move around and are some nasty people. There's some great people in the sport, but there is some arseholes, and you meet plenty of arseholes, and when they're on the way down, it's good to see, innit?
Yeah.
whatever they've been up to, but I try just to stay not involved in any of that. But yeah.
I've got a news flash from Finley. It is this: KNN stands for Ken and Norm. who founded K&N. There you go. Neil, have you got any thoughts on the F1 stuff? Because it is a massive news story that isn't in the papers much.
Who won the race?
Haven't been one yet.
Oh, have we missed one? Have we?
It was
No,
Miami.
we haven't missed one.
No.
Is there one this weekend?
Imola.
Yes.
Oh,
Imola.
and who's going to win? Do we think?
Oh, I'll put my money on
Fast
Max.
one.
I'll put my money on Max.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that?
I hope it rains.
Pole position.
I never understand. Is Imola more specifically designed for someone like Max, or is it windy? Is it hilly? Why Max?
It's got lots of. Actually, it's got fast corners. It's got slow corners. It's got some very annoying chicanes now. The worst of which is Tamburello, but obviously the corner was too quick. I do fancy McLaren at this one. Actually, I think this is just a combination of stuff. Max is very good when there are lots and lots and lots and lots of fast corners and a bit of braking. That his car seems to work well with that. Whereas this sort of mixed type of circuit, I think the McLarens do very well. I'm not very optimistic for Ferrari.
It's officially the worst place I've ever been to when it comes to being able to buy food at the circuit.
It's functional.
Because you have to queue for an hour, obviously, to get a ticket from a lady at a till, and then go and queue for another hour to get a hot dog, which is like officially the worst ever hot dog for like 25 euros. And you'd have thought Italy, what's one thing they're really good at? Food. Certainly not at Imola.
No.
Ooh.
It's really shite.
John
Great
McGuinness,
tracks,
we
though. Italian tracks are good.
It's a fantastic track.
Monza. Should go to Monza, that's where it should go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'll rest at Monza.
At this point in the podcast, we do something called our two-car garage. John, I'm not gonna. You're gonna think on your feet here. We take a suggestion from a reader, and we have to choose a two-car garage. And this is from a nice chap called Arthur, who was spannering one of the cars that I was messing around with at Portimao last week. And I said he could choose the two-car garage because he was a really lovely chap. So these are his two cars. First car. You're a first-time driver, I suspect Arthur might be that person, looking for a car that will both stimulate the petrol head part of them and provide a cheap option for a first car. You've got a budget of $4,000, which seems quite generous for a first car. Second car, to be a project car over a year, $10,000 budget for car and mods and repairs. So we're right down. And John, before he came on the podcast, said to me, can we talk about some normal cars rather than that Ponzi shite you normally talk about? So this is it, John. This is your chance to prove to the world that you're a man of the people and that those fancy new teeth haven't changed you at all. When are you having them done?
You're breaking up a bit, which is probably a good thing, so I don't have to listen to your crap.
Okay, so two-car garage. Let's go first with Neil Clifford.
Okay. $4,000. I've got this situation actually going on with my son, who's busy trying to pass his theory. Actually, he's passed it fifth time, bless him. And he passed first time actually driving. And we got a little thing. We're discussing the two cars we're discussing, which is actually one car really. Fiat Panda, Gen 2 4x4. Which the sort of modern-ish, but not the expensive one at $10,000 on piston heads. The $4,000 one, the first of the modern Pandas in 4x4. They come in that little green. Actually, there's a little pistachio one which he doesn't like with the orange interior. Of course, I've no idea why. So there's the Gen 2 4x4, or frankly, the Panda before that, which I think was almost a 5-star Evo car at some point, certainly very well loved on Top Gear, was the Fiat Panda 100.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I don't know whether that's a very clever car from an insurance perspective because it's quite a sporty thing, but it's not exactly up GTI, which actually I'd love one of those little up GTIs in whites with the cloth and the little gear knob. So I'm going Fiat Panda. And then, look, I'm going to get this T-shirt made. You can't go wrong with a Boxster. And $10,000 buys you... Actually, I'm just selling a Boxster, 3.2S in midnight blue. And the only reason you should sell a Boxster is because you're buying another Boxster. which is exactly what I'm doing. Because otherwise, if you sell a Boxster without replacing it with a Boxster, you're clearly an idiot. Yeah, exactly. So 3.2S Boxster, 7, 8, 9 grand. You know, the first gen, ideally with the orange lights, and then you've got a couple of grand. I don't know, sports exhaust. More importantly, get it through the MOT, recharge the air conditioning, change a few of those scratchy switches that have been worn out, that you see, therefore don't know which is the wipers and which is the sunroof because they've had so much use. So Boxster and Fiat Panda 100.
I'm going to go next with Manish.
So look, I'm going to throw the insurance bit out of the window because I think it's just another problem. But I actually found a really rather beautiful Audi A3 TFSI, an S-Line special. And it's the one with almost 200 horsepower. It's a 2-litre manual. It's a little leggy. It's 2011. It's got 98,000 miles. It's on at 4,300, and I think you could probably get it for 4,000 quid in today's market. And I think that's just a great car. It's a great car. I've always loved Audis. I think a 3-door manual, 200 horsepower Audi is a way to fall in love with a petrol car, you know, as long as you don't stick yourself in a tree.
If it's your first car, you're going to crash it, though, aren't you?
But it did say you want to bring out the petrol head in him. And I think this is going to be a responsible kid. And, you know, he's got the car. The second one, and I think I was inspired by our director of photography, Robin. He has one of these, and he's modded it to bits. So I would actually get a Mazda MX-5. And I found a gorgeous one. It was 1.8 litres, 140 horsepower, 4,900 pounds. And then I found a rather lovely company called Boffy Racing. And as far as I could see, BOFI Racing have every mod you can imagine for an MX-5. I mean, you can just buy a subframe, anti-roll bars, play with your suspension, do whatever. Have a great year and turn it into a bit of a track beast. Do it slowly. So enjoy yourself. And that is my 2-car garage.
John McGuinness, what are you doing with this money?
Not sure. $4,000. You can buy a lot with $4,000, can't you?
You can.
To be fair. I was thinking first car, you've got to have a Honda.
Yeah.
Proper boring, but like low mileage Honda Civic, everything it says on the tin, everything will work.
Yeah.
It won't need to be in the AA. I've had loads of them through working with Honda for years and years. Never lifted the bonnet on one.
Yeah.
Absolutely bulletproof.
Yeah.
So, bit shit, but yeah.
Power of dreams.
Yeah, well, that's it. You know, can't go wrong with one of them. You used to have to go to Chiswick in London to
Power
swap
Road.
the Hondas.
Yeah.
Yeah, Power Road. Every 10,000 miles you have to go back to. First one I got was a Honda Jordan. Remember them 16,000 Jordans?
Yes.
Yellow one. So I had one of them. I thought it was the knackers. And I went to see my brother in prison. He was in prison at the time at Risley Remand Centre in Warrington. And I thought to myself, the car will be all right in the car park in a prison. Can't go wrong in there, can I? So I left the stereo in the front, you know, the ones that you clip off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But somebody put the window through and rived the stereo out of a brand new T-Reg Honda Civic in 99. I was absolutely ruined. I didn't know what to say, so I went back to Chiswick Road with dashboard all hanging out of this car. And there used to be a bloke down there, John with a beard. He was fucking twat, he was. And he gave me a 4-door automatic Honda Civic after that. Absolute shitbox. I was absolutely ruined with that one. Yeah. He knew, he said, there's your car. It was burgundy as well.
Oh.
Burgundy. Worst colour I've seen in my life. 10 grand, I've got to say, I'm a van man. I'm going to throw a van in the hat. So transport a van, 2 litre, in metallic blue, because I know Neil loves blue.
Yeah.
That's his favourite colour. So we're going to go blue. And the upgrades, we're going to buy some seats for the back to get your mates in. So we're going to turn it into a caravel type. Yeah. It's always good for a bit of dogging. You know, you need to do a bit of dogging anyway. The old vans are always pretty handy in the back. And you always need, and so seats in the back, set of wheels, front splitter, towel for the dogging.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
The fan.
And Lee, just get your finger on that edit button, son. So Neil Clifford, you've done that. So, Chris Cooper, where are you going next?
$4,000 will buy you a Mark V Golf GTI.
Yeah.
That's a bloody good $4,000, that is. I've gone for car, not a jiggy wagon. I reckon $10,000. The boys and I, we've got a bit of a thing about E46s at the moment, E46 BMWs. Project car. Get a 328, maybe 330. Bit of money on some mods, some shocks, sort out the dampers, take a bit of weight out. Don't need to sort out the engine. Engine's fine. Maybe an exhaust. I reckon that is a winner.
Watch this space.
Yeah.
I have to say,
what about a K&N filter? The cheeky plug for K&N.
Glad you mentioned that, John. I think
well done.
we could have a bit of K&N going on there.
There could be some Ken and Norm going on there. So I reckon. I like McGuinness's suggestion of the van. I can't endorse what it's being used for, but I'm broad-minded and I understand the fact that, life is not straightforward if you come from Morecambe.
Chris, but I mean, if you've got a van, I mean, if you've got no friends, but if you buy a van, all of a sudden you have new friends because somebody wants to borrow it, don't it? Go and pick a sofa up from IKEA or something like that.
Yeah.
So at least you'll generate some friends if you've got a van.
That's a good point. Well made.
So I'm going to go for. I think that I've got to acknowledge the insurance things. First time driver, and the way around the best way around insurance is classic insurance. So if you get something older, you open your options up a bit more as a first driver. So I'm thinking you're going to persuade an insurance underwriter that a Peugeot 106 XS, which was just not the full XSI, but the XS, 1400. You're going to get one of those and persuade the insurer it's a classic car, and it's going to go quite quick. And you're just going to be very careful to avoid trees and solid objects because if you hit those, you're not going to be around for very long. The $10,000 is a real problem because you can nerdle around this for ages, and Boxster is just about the answer to everything at the moment because there's so many of them. I've been looking at them myself. There's so many out there, and they're so bloody good. It's difficult, but the problem is your mates might have a Boxster, and what's the one thing you don't want as a project car? Is if your mate's got the same car, because it's all about identity, isn't it? You can't have mates with the same freaking car. So for me, I'm going to find, and I don't know how I'm going to insure this, I'm going to find a really over miles, leggy, slightly ratty Z3M Roadster, and I think in the trade you can find one for $10,000 now. A quite good one's $14,000. So $10,000 is going to buy you one of those. I don't know how you're going to insure it, Arthur, as you're called, but we'll help you out on the insurance, all right?
Cat C. You'll get a Cat C.
Cat C. Right, now we move on to choosing a piece of music. So I'm going to put McGuinness right on the spot here. I've not even asked him about this. So I'll start this by saying that today I drove right the way down the Luxembourg border, and I went down past Dijon and all the way down to the south coast I'm not quite on the south coast, but I'm right down here. And I went past a place called Orange, or Orange, as you call it if you're not a Francophile. Now, if you're a massive fan of a band called The Cure, like I am, you might remember that there's a famous concert they played in Orange, and they made a video of it called The Cure in Orange. And it's a really lovely concert. They're a great live band. And I remember, I'm pretty sure, their tune The Forest being played with that lovely, creepy, haunting intro. So I'm going to say The Cure's it's called A Forest, isn't it? A Forest.
It's a great, great, great song, that.
Great song. So I'm choosing that because I drove past Orange and that reminded me of that. So Neil Clifford, what's your tune?
I've been listening to the Rolling Stones, and what an amazing band. I know it sounds a bit of an old fart sort of thing to say, and I'm more 80s and 90s, but what an incredible bloody band. I would have definitely been more Rolling Stones and Beatles if I'd have been alive in the 60s. And Mick Jagger, what a dude. She's a Rainbow.
Yeah.
It's really good. They're all good. Yeah. It's a bit like Queen. Every single song's good. And like ABBA, every single song's good. Rolling Stones, every single song's good. Amazing.
I had a long chat with John McGuinness in a swimming pool recently about music, and we came to the conclusion that there's a lot. Basically, it's got to be a tune that you want to jig along to and sing along to, hasn't it, John?
Well, for me, it's Queen, 100%.
Yeah.
Anything Queen, like Bohemian Rhapsody, because it goes on for a while, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's quite simple, and you can just make the words up anyway, even if you've got it wrong.
Yeah,
It's
they're better.
beautiful. What a genius. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazingly, you brought that up, Neil. That Like a Rainbow, that is unbelievable. It just sent the shiver down with that, because Becky's mum just slipped away, actually, about 12 months ago. And that's what we played, carrying her to the crematorium.
wow.
Yeah.
It's an amazing song.
Yeah, she looked after me. She was like my second mum. Absolutely. Because, I mean, when I were young, I lived on my wife's mum and dad's sofa for 7 years. So when I was racing, because I never had a pot to pee in, so she was like my mum. Yeah, so we carried her into that song. So there you go.
Well, we'll dedicate that song to her.
Yeah.
Class. But anything Queen, anything.
Manish, what's your song?
I've just changed it. We tried to use this piece of music. I'm going Rolling Stones. I think brilliant. We tried to license this piece of music to be the intro for Lucky. So we needed it for 20 or 42 seconds or something. And we were quoted, I'm not kidding, we were quoted $1.6 million to license this. And it's the beginning of Sympathy for the Devil. We just wanted 40 seconds of that.
Yeah.
And but that song, listen to that when you're driving. Or actually listen to that in your car when the immobilizer won't turn off because you've got a second fob that doesn't work. It still sounds bloody good in a stationary Ferrari.
Is that this week's story of Lola in 5 seconds?
That is this week's story of Lola. Big trip planned on Sunday. Miles covered, 0. At least I got inside the car. I was in the lockup. Sat in the car, I was going like this. It's going to start. Hold on, it's going to start.
Was that the Ferrari you just had a new interior, old one inside it?
Yeah,
you were born
all the wrong bits.
John's thinking I could go racing for 2 seasons on that money.
I tell you what, John, I would love to loan you Lola. Take her out and basically make her work.
What is this, a card? Is it called Lola?
Yeah.
Don't go there, John.
Right, moving on. We're going to get cancelled here. Right, Chris Cooper, what's your song?
So I've been watching the TV thing Mobland recently. It's quite gruesome this last weekend. I chose it this week because in the scene this week where there was a bit of chainsaw action.
Oi. Don't give it away. Not all of us have seen this week's yet, all right?
Doesn't give anything away. There's a chainsaw in it, and other garden implements. There's a BMW E38 that they went to this big warehouse, which I thought was a bit of a play on the E32 7 Series in Layer Cake when they went into a big warehouse. So the theme music of Mobland, which I think is really cool, Starburster by Fontaine DC. It's brilliant. Lovely in the car. Great in the car. Particularly if you're being chased by somebody with a chainsaw.
Magic. Right, This internet's killing me here. I want to say a massive thank you to John McGuinness for coming on and enduring this utterly stinky, boring car chat. He's gonna message me now going, your mates are right boring twats, they are. But we love you to bits. We'll be cheering for you. I'm coming over to watch the races. I vowed I'll never miss it as long as it's still going on. It's the best spectator event I've ever been to. Neil came last year, and I hope that Manish and Chris come as well. It's the ultimate gladiatorial activity.
It's the only place we've got 9 of us in a Kia, isn't it? It's the only place in the world we've got 9 of us in a Kia.
Yeah, that was. I would never forget that evening.
No, I don't think any of us will.
And I think my wife messed in the back of it.
Yeah, I met the bloke who owns that car. Yeah, he told me about that.
It went down well. It's one of my sponsors, and then Chris is going, look at this, McGuinness now. We're off to the Italian, and he's like, yeah, that's my car.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Bentley.
Brilliant. So Chris not only did he steal my sponsor and everything else, he took him ice driving as well in Sweden or whatever. So he's been promising to take me that. What a wanker!
Yeah.
I now have a sketchy connection. I'm quite glad I do. So we're gonna. So on behalf of myself and my friends and John McGuinness, who I count as one of those, thank you very much for listening. And all I can say is, I'm sorry.